Hello, welcome back to Storytime with Quefish. I'm doing this one right in the middle of Drunk Storytime with Quefish, which I have been told is okay. So, this is chapter 12 of Roomba of Doom by GayDemonicDisaster, aka Kirsty. I don't know why I say it like that, but I do. So, this one is called Gravity, Chapter 12, Gravity. Content warning for mention of a spider, but it's not described in detail, is more a comic kind of comedy spider who is mildly offended by the screaming of huge creatures around it. I definitely hope this spider has a name, and if it doesn't, I will give him one. The spider is removed, but not harmed. This is fluff comedy, so nothing bad happens. Anyhow, summary is Bob becomes Crowley's knight in shining plastic housing and discovers some new demonic powers of his own that even his parents didn't know he possessed. Oh no. Crowley yelped and leapt onto the coffee table. Aziraphale peered across from behind his book, worried. What's wrong, love? Nothing. It doesn't look like nothing. What's wrong? I'm fine. Everything's fine. Can't a guy stand on his own coffee table? The demon hissed, embarrassed. Aziraphale sighed. Where's the spider? Crowley pointed down, shamefaced. He didn't take his eyes off the creature scuttling across the floor. Far too large for his liking. It was probably like that big. 8 legs skittering on the concrete with tiny tap 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 sounds. Was he wearing shoes? Tap 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 tap. Spider! The demon hissed, shuddering. Aziraphale looked at him strangely. I was kind of about to fucking say that. Crowley, you're a snake, dear. Are you honestly telling me you're bothered by a spider? Crowley shivered and tucked his gangly limbs tighter under him, nodding. Too many legs. That makes sense. He hissed, glaring at the offending acronid. Take it out, Angel. His eyes pleading. Aziraphale closed his book with a sigh and stood. But before he could take a step further, Bob zoomed across the floor with an angry wailing beep and charged over the spider. He trundled on for a few inches, leaving no trace of it behind. Crowley whooped. Well, I guess Gabriel's gonna have to deal with it now. Bob, you fucking legend! Aziraphale, give me some crumbs for him. Aziraphale stood agape in shock. But he just ate it. Alive! The angel wailed. He had wanted to take it outside. Relax, Angel. It'll be fine. It'll still be alive. It's just not here. Crowley grinned demonically, then burst into gales of laughter. In heaven, Gabriel flicked another errant piece of dust from his paperwork with irritation. He had no idea why everything had become so dusty in here over the past few years. It had started a while before Armageddon, but hadn't stopped. In fact, it had been getting worse since then. Not to mention the mysterious cascade of pink glitter the other day. He'd been finding crumbs all over his office. No one even ate up here, so Lord knows where it was all manifesting from. It was a nuisance. Then, something hit his head with a tiny, soft thud. He flinched and looked around suspiciously. His head tickled. He reached up to scratch it, and felt something horrible. With a strangled scream, the archangel flailed backwards, brushing madly at his hair. The spider landed on his desk and glared up at him indignantly. Gabriel's scream pitched higher, and he ran back across the room in terror until he was cowering against the far wall. The spider sat on his desk and stared at him in confusion. The spider was annoyed. It had been enjoying an amble across the floor when everything had gone whirly, and it had landed on that tall creature's head, dizzy from its interdimensional journey. And now it was being yelled at by a huge monster that sounded like a 4-year-old girl. The spider could swear that scream was going ultrasonic. Then another huge creature entered the room, looking irritated. "What the heaven is wrong, Gabriel?" Michael demanded. Gabriel pointed a quivering finger at his desk where the spider sat, wondering what to do with itself. Michael looked at it. "Yes, what's the problem?" "It's a spider." Gabriel whimpered. "Please make it go away. It landed on me. It landed on my..." He shuddered in revulsion. "On my head." He pulled a face. "It touched me." Michael sighed and rolled her eyes in exasperation. She reached out gentle hands to pick up the spider, flung a withering look at the cowering archangel, and stalked out to find somewhere safe to release it. Bob was feeling very pleased with himself. He had saved the day and made Crowley happy. It felt good. He scooted around the rest of the flat with a purpose. Crowley, intrigued, followed to see what he was up to. Eventually, Bob began nudging a plant pot to one side, very carefully so as to not tip it. Crowley stepped forward to nudge the pot aside with his toe for Bob, wondering what his little minion wanted. He rather rapidly leapt backwards, and in the absence of any furniture to jump on in the plant room, simply leapt onto the wall in defiance of gravity and stuck there watching as Bob chased another errant spider down that had been hiding behind the plant pot. He sucked it up. I almost feel sorry for Gabriel. He sucked it up and dispatched it like the first. In heaven, there was another strident scream. Bob spun around, satisfied, then twirled around, looking for Crowley in confusion. Up here, buddy," came a voice from halfway up the wall. Bob shuffled back a bit to get a better view. He beeped in confusion. "Sorry, kid. Didn't want it running over my foot." Crowley shivered in disgust, then stepped down off the wall again and dusted himself off. "Thanks for that, though, Hellspawn. I appreciate it. You're now on official spider duty, okay?" He petted the vac affectionately. A few days later, Aziraphale heard Crowley singing something from the study and wandered through to see what was going on. He was standing on the desk, holding Bob upside down on the ceiling, aiming towards a cobweb in the corner. He was singing quietly. Spider vac, does whatever a spider vac does. His head spun around as he noticed Aziraphale in the doorway and dropped his hands guiltily. Then his eyes shot open wide in surprise, and his head snapped up again, arms up, and paused in confusion in what he saw. When he'd taken his hands away, Bob hadn't dropped. He was still stuck to the ceiling and was now trundling about up there on his own. "Oh," Crowley managed weakly, very, very confused. "I had no idea he could do that." Bob made his way to the corner and vacuumed up the cobweb and its inhabitant in one deft movement. In heaven, there was another inarticulate screech, accompanied by archangelic flailing. Angel and demon stood in the study, staring at the ceiling. Angel and demon stood in the study, staring at the ceiling, as Bob decided to dust around the light fixtures. Then they looked at each other. Crowley shrugged. "It's a new one on me, Angel." They both resumed watching the Roomba as he trundled about on the ceiling, apparently happy. Aziraphale shrugged as well. "I suppose he gets it from you, dear. You can defy gravity, therefore so can he." "How is he going to get down again, though?" There was a humming sound, and Lydia trundled in, circling around, trying to find Bob. "He's up there, Lydia," Aziraphale pointed out helpfully. The robo-mower backed up a bit until she could take in the view better, and beeped in surprise. Bob stopped his circling and beeped back at her. He appeared to be thinking for a moment, his lights moving in thoughtful patterns, until he appeared to come to a decision. He whirred up his motors rapidly. Then there was a short, sharp click. "Oh, no!" Bob was on the floor, right side up, next to Lydia. Crowley stared at him in shock. "What the hell? Did Bob just figure out how to snap?" Bob beeped happily and zoomed in a circuit around the mower. He flashed his lights at the angel and demon, then scooted back to his charging port for a nap. Crowley stared at his husband incredulously. Aziraphale laughed. "I suppose he's rather more demonic than even you know." "Darling, either that or he's picking it up as he goes along. Just please promise me you'll never play with hellfire around him, lest you start experimenting with that as well." Aziraphale looked at Lydia, feeling vaguely disappointed that she hadn't seemed to pick up any angelic attributes yet, save for a habit of grassing up Bob when he got up to his more nefarious shenanigans. Perhaps it would come with time. He patted her affectionately. "Fancy a walk in the park to mow some grass, Lydia?" She beeped happily, and Aziraphale wandered through the hallway to fetch his coat. Notes. Next chapter has some Lydia being the angelic little mower that she is. Crowley tries to tempt an angelic lawnmower to be naughty. Good deeds are done, plants threatened, and angels hugged. And there's art, so you should go and clicky and see the art too. Oh no, Bob can snap. That's hilarious. I almost feel bad for Gabriel. Not because of the spider, but because the spider landed on him. Here's a true story, okay? My ex-husband was doing non-husbandy things. And one day I was talking to a friend of mine, and I put out into the universe, I said something about the fact that my ex-husband at the time, was arachnophobic. And we were joking around about, going into the house because he was doing non-husbandly things and releasing spiders, right? Just as a joke. And that night, literally that night, I wasn't living in the house with him. I heard about it like the next morning. That night, a spider landed on his face. The house we were living in had like banana plants and a lot of like wolf spiders that were like this big. banana spiders and wolf spiders and stuff like that. And literally one landed on his face in the middle of the night. And I was just like, thank you, universe. And it fucking made me laugh so hard. I'm not a big spider fan. I do try not to kill spiders. I do try to put them outside. So I almost felt bad for him because of so arachnophobic he is. But he wasn't doing very, very nice things at the time, so I did laugh a lot. Anyway, thank you for joining me. We'll be back next time. There's a new chapter for Roomba of Doom. Apparently there's like a zillion chapters, so I'm gonna be around for a while doing this one. I love it.